Auburn basketball's 2021-22 season may be done, and it ended on somewhat of a sad note considering the expectations that were there. But there were some pretty high moments, even outside of specific games and shots made, moments within an actual basketball game. Let's talk about some of those big events that happened this season for Auburn basketball. Welcome to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. Our content here and on our podcast network may tend to be Auburn sports heavy, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And thank you to members of our booster club like Linda Bird, who help produce videos like this. I know, Auburn fans, the sting is still there of us surprisingly exiting in the round of 32 in March Madness. When you looked at the expectations that were already there at the beginning of the season, that built up throughout the season with Jabari Smith, rankings, what people were saying about the team, it is a bit of a disappointment. But I don't want us to get lost in that. I want us to take hold of the things that happened during this season that were the first time some of these things ever happened, but also great moments overall that make the season itself still a success. So that's what we're gonna do here on this video. We're gonna look at top five events that happened in this season that make this such an awesome one for us to remember. And these are not even including particular games. These are things that just were huge in the season that had implications for the season itself, but also for the program going forward. And as typically the case is with top five things, this is just my loose interpretation of what are the most important things. There are probably some things that are gonna be left out. And the way I put them in, the order that I put them in isn't necessarily the way they have to be. It's just the ones that came to my mind at the time and the order that I put them in when I was organizing this video. Let's start with number 5, Auburn Arena becomes Neville Arena. Now, I know a lot of you are like, why are you including this as a top event of this video? Well, I will just tell you this. This has more implications just than having a new name slapped on the many sides and front-facing signages of what was formerly known as Auburn Arena, now known as Neville Arena, for the two donors and their families who contributed the highest donation in Auburn athletics. That's including football history. That is worthy of having your name placed on whatever you want on Auburn's campus and their sports venues. So with this, obviously the change of the name, people are still used to Auburn Arena, but what it means for the program is stability. It means that there is funds coming in now for the things that are going to make us competitive on the court, but off the court as well, in the way that they practice, organizing, scheduling. They're going to be adding on to the arena with this donation. The benefits that come from dealing with a new name change are monumental. And so when we get over the initial, shall we say, sticker shock of having something different slapped on there, I think you'll see the benefits going on in the future. Number 4 is one we can all agree on, an SEC championship for the regular season. A lot of you that have been getting into basketball this season have been kind of like, what's this whole thing? You're a regular season champ, you're a tournament champ, and then you can be a national champ. I know there's a lot there, but really, you were fighting to be the regular season champ throughout the season. And that's what Auburn did this year for the very first time under Bruce Pearl, which was another accomplishment for him in his time here at Auburn. So being the number 1 regular season team in the SEC gets you the number 1 seed overall in the tournament for that double bye, especially, and the best chance in that tournament. Didn't really work out that way, but I digress. And what made it even better was the Tigers got to celebrate it officially at home, where they won it outright. They had already technically won it the game before on the road, but being at home on senior day, the last game of the season, last home game, made it extra special to be SEC champions. Number 3, Bruce Pearl's contract. Another one of those things that's just more about money and stuff like that, but we were all excited about them, let's be honest. Securing Bruce Pearl, ending all of the notions that someone could steal him away from us. Now, while there is no wording in the official contract that I have seen, well, no one's seen the official contract, but we're all attaching the label lifetime contract. That's what it seems like it is, and that's what it seems like it's going to be going forward. Locked him up for the next decade here as Auburn men's basketball coach, further stabilizing the program and giving him a recruiting edge for years and years to come here at Auburn. I don't want to step out and say this kind of feels almost like a Duke basketball type of situation with Coach K, because that's not it whatsoever, but that's the closest equivalent. Think about the stability that they have had over the last few decades, knowing that Coach K was going to be there and then having a succession plan in place. I would bet some of that was part of this deal, so that's why it's number 3. Number 2, Pearlville, Jungle City, whatever you want to call it, and throwing it in there, that Kentucky weekend. That weekend was absolutely incredible, and I got to be a part of it. And I didn't know I was going to get to go into the game thanks to some fans out there who saw me standing outside the arena just taking pictures and watched the show and said, "Come on in." I really appreciate that. That was huge, made my entire season. But the fact that I got to go and just be on campus, even the night before, to witness what at the time people were affectionately calling Pearlville, the amassing of Auburn students and fans outside the arena 24 plus hours before that, in freezing temperatures during the day and night, just so that they could be a part of the atmosphere. Obviously, mainly students there. Got to film the whole thing. You can go check out our video here if you want to see some of that footage and how crazy it was out there in those freezing temperatures. Was an atmosphere that I think basketball has gotten close to being like a football atmosphere in quite some time. I don't know that I've ever experienced that before, just wanting to be in the presence of that atmosphere on campus in such a concentrated area too, within Auburn University's campus. That it was an incredible event, and that is why it's number 2. And finally, number 1, and that's what this number 2 was leading to, the number 1 ranking that Auburn achieved for the first time in program history during the regular season. Now, you have heard me say a lot on this channel. Rankings do not matter in the grand scheme of things, and that is true. But there is something to be said for knocking off a first, especially with the very few things that Bruce Pearl has left to knock off in terms of streaks, good or bad, or first-time occasions, accomplishments for him and his Auburn Tigers program. This was a huge moment that we had been anticipating for all season. We thought we might be able to get there just kind of on an outside chance, and when it became a reality after the way we started during non-conference and started during conference play, ready to take advantage when Gonzaga finally did slip up, jumping them over into the number 1 spot and maintaining that for roughly 3 weeks during a very challenging SEC season. It took going on the road to one of the best teams in the SEC, Arkansas, to finally bring us down a peg. I enjoyed the heck out of those 3 weeks, the fanfare that was involved with it, the memes, everything. The number 1 ranking, it's finally done and over with, but I will never forget the excitement that was brought with it this season. So that's my top 5 events from this season, not necessarily about particular games, and you can probably switch around what order they fall in, but those are the things that I wanted to talk about. What I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. What things from this season will you remember the most? What events, what were the most valuable to you if it was something I talked about here or something that I didn't mention? Let me know down there in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this content, please do help support it by smashing that like button. And if you want more from us, be sure to be subscribed along with hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads or live streams. There's also other ways to help support our content listed in the description for this video. You can become a channel member by hitting the join button, or even head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the Booster Club to get some more perks for your support. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. War Eagle.